Hi, Steffi here from The Makers. I'm going to show you how you're going to add beautiful surface beads onto this world project. This one hasn't got any beads, but of course this is what you're aiming for. So you have these added bead details here. They look like water drops or maybe some barnacles. Here there's some on the tummy as well. And I will also just show you quickly how you're going to put this lovely shimmer wool onto the whale, which is a wool top, and it's actually, we call it a sparkly top. And this is all based on the whale project that is in our makers box for October 2023. So if you're watching this because you've got the box, great. If you're watching this because you've always wondered how to do it, then this is also good for you. So I'm just going to the overhead camera now. So my whale has already got some of that shimmer, that sparkly wool on there, but I'm just going to show you how to do how this was done, because there's a little bit of detail missing here by the fins, and you tease off really tiny amounts, so be really stingy. This is the one time when you're allowed to be stingy with wool. So you want them to be a really soft surface there, because if you do too much, you just colour the whale in and he looks sort of fluffy, and whereas you just want him to have that really streamlined look. So if the fibres are really long, it works really well for covering the body, but because you've got a shorter area here, you could either just try and tear them shorter, or you could even cut them. Did I say that? Yes, I did. So lay them out in the direction of how the shape runs. So obviously with the body you'll have that. That's quite easy. And then you are going to take your fine felting needle, preferably, and you're just going to stab this into the surface of your whale. If you have a multi-tool, such as the green clover tool, you can certainly use that. It will just make sure that it speeds the process up a little bit more. There is a wire at the very beginning here of the tail fin, so be careful about that, but you can literally just felt that wool onto the surface. You're not building bulk, you're not trying to sculpt it, you're literally colouring it in. And it's probably quite hard to see in the camera, but you can see that this part here is shimmery now and the other part isn't. So tuck all the fibres in, make sure they're all nice and smooth on the surface, and all you want is just that shimmer or that sparkle to shine through. It is a really beautiful yarn, not yarn, it's a really beautiful top. So sparingly, that's all I can say. Use it sparingly. It is definitely a good tip to give out. I almost feel I've put too much on this one, so don't use too much. You can go over it again if you wish, so you can actually put more layers over it, but build the layers up rather than putting it down. The last thing you want is for the whale to look stripy. Excuse me, I always sneeze when I'm doing a tutorial, so I do apologize about that. And felt it down. So it works really well with the multi-tool, but if you've only got a single needle to hand, then it works with that too. It will just take you a little bit longer, but diligence is definitely required here. The more time you spend in stubbing this in and smoothing it out, the more effective it will be, because the last thing you want is for the whale to look fluffy. It's not a fluffy animal, quite the opposite. So yes, definitely, and be careful here where that wire is. It will easily bend and break your needle in no time, so just be mindful of that. Right, so that is just adding that bit of sparkly or that sort of nice surface color there. And what I'm going to show you next is how you can either sew or felt the beads onto the whale. I'm going to do this. Well, I'm gonna do it here on the body. Now, if you've got our box, you will have a selection of beads, and what we're suggesting is that you're actually sorting out the larger beads, because they work really well for the tummy covering, where you have sort of larger barnacles there. So you will have to sort of literally pick them out. They can be different colors. And just get them. You might find some whilst you're using the others, but get some of the bigger beads out of the smaller, the whole of the collection, and save them for the tummy of the whale. And I'm actually using, what I'm using here is the needle I'm going to sew with. You do not need a beading needle for these particular beads. You can fit an ordinary sewing needle. It is quite a small sewing needle, I will be honest. But you might not want to get rid of all of the large beads. You can put some larger ones on the top as well. But it's nice to have the larger ones on the tummy. So not the little ones, that one I'm trying to say. Oh, there's one more. That's it. And then you are going to use just an ordinary white cotton, or you can use our sparkly thread, or yeah, whichever one you want to use. And then you just thread your needle, which might take a while. It's quite a small. Ah, I got it. You don't need to double the thread up. Got quite a long thread there, so I'm going to make it slightly shorter. And then just establish your thread on the whale first. So I'm going to put a knot in there. Not that that knot will necessarily hold it, but it's an extra security. There. And then decide where you want to start. So say you start here on top of the head. Get your needle in there. And I won't pull it really tight. I just want to make sure that my thread is now secure. So I'm going to go in and out a couple of times in really tiny spaces, just to make sure my thread is secure. And then I pick up my first bead. Sorry, you got just do you see my head? Oh, there's another big one. Pick up my first bead, put it on the needle, and then it's on there. There. Now I'm going underneath the surface to the next space where I want to put a bead. Now this bead's on, and I'm going to pick up the next bead. Another big one. Put that out of the way. So pick up another one, just take another color this time. And that's where that is going to go. And then I go back into the same space where I've just come out of, but now I'm going along underneath the surface. So you don't want this makes the thread disappear inside the whale, and you don't need to worry about it. Pick up another bead, put it on, into the same space where your needle has come out of, and then move along to the next space. And you just repeat that process until you've got all the beads in the place where you want them to be. If you you can do exactly the same on the wings. I wouldn't go all the way through to the other side of the wing, because I think that would show the thread underneath the wing, so you don't want that. And just sew your beads on in that way, one by one. It's definitely something, if you've got lots of time on your hand, you will want to do that, okay? If you haven't got lots of time on your hand, or you're of the impatient nature as I am, then you can also forget the whole idea about sewing anything on. By the way, when you've finished with your sewing, just go in and out of the underneath of the whale, just a few times back and forth. So don't ever have the thread showing on the surface, and that will secure the thread, and then you can just cut it off. If you don't want to sew, because you haven't got the time or the inclination, then you can use glue. Hooray! So to use the glue, I really like these glue sticks, and you just or glue pens, I should say. You just put a couple of dots wherever you want the beads to go. Maybe before you get too adventurous, maybe stick to 5 or 6 for now. And you could still pick your beads up with a needle. You can use your felting needle if you want. It's easier to get your bead. Place it on the glue, and that's it. Simple. No sewing. This will definitely work faster. in many ways you've got more chances to space the beads out more the way that you want them to go, and they're just as effective. Now the only thing is you have to wait for them to dry. Now they don't fall off because I haven't used an awful lot of glue. Saying that, one just disappeared. Where'd it go? Oh, that's really weird. Okay, put another one on there. But I would wait for the beads to dry before you start doing anything else. So that's the two options of how you can fasten on the beads. Now there is one other thing that I wanted to talk about. This is not in the instructions of this whale, but one thing that I noticed is that sometimes these fins can be a little bit floppy. Now they haven't got any wire in them, but there's nothing, oh, I'm going straight into the beads now. There's nothing stopping you inserting a little bit of wire afterwards. So they're not made with wire, but you can add wire afterwards. Obviously add really thin wire. I'm trying to reach some wire. It doesn't have to be very big at all. It could be even as thin as that. It's just that little bit of extra support, and you can probably sort of jiggle your way. All the beads are coming off. All the beads that I'm gluing on are coming off now. So you could, if you have an awl, make the way. So it just needs to be a little bit, it just needs to have a little bit of support from the underneath of the wing. I say wing, but it's not a wing, it's a fin. And just insert your wire, jiggle it along as far as you can get in that channel that you've made. Oh, it's coming out the other way. Okay, this has got the paper coming off at the end, so I don't think it's very it's not so happy to go down one single channel. Try that again. If you've got a sturdier wire that doesn't bend, it might be better. I'm just going to grab one. Okay, I'm going to try the flexible steel wire, which is exactly the same wire that you've got in the box to make the whale, and that might work a little bit better. So try that again with the awl. Give that a nice little stretch. That's better. And then get the wire to go in as far as you can, and that might already be enough. You can of course go a little further along. Yeah, actually that's doing it. So you can felt the hole shut, so just literally trap the wire inside. You need sorry, I've just got to lean across, try not to get my head in there. You need some wire cutters, which I can see from here. Yeah, here we go. Some wire cutters, just cut them where you, and that has actually done it. It's no longer flopping, so it is literally that shorter wire length, and that will just give it that little bit of extra support. Whereas this one is, if you can felt them on more solidly, but should you not have done that, which can easily happen, then you can give them that little bit of extra support. And I'm just going to show you this again, because this might be useful to some of you. So make a little bit of a channel for it, and I'm using the whole length of the wire because I'm going to see how far I get in there, and then I cut the rest off. Just jiggle and wriggle it in there, and then see if that was enough too. Yeah, done the job. So it really doesn't take a lot to stop these. Can you see how they're now solid? I mean, they're not solid, but they're not flopping down anymore. Now, this might not have happened with your whale. You might not have floppy fins, but if you do, then you know how to do it. And leave those beads to dry. All of these beads have been glued on. and you can't tell the difference. So it is absolutely fine to glue them on. You don't need to tell anybody you've gone the easy way. That's absolutely fine. Anyway, I hope that was of some help to do with the whale. If you are making the whale, we have lots of useful tutorials on our YouTube channel already of how to actually shape these fins. If you look at the turtle tutorial, that will tell you. We've got really good tutorials of how to wrap wool around wire. If you look at the moon gazing hare, there's lots of parallels there, and shaping and so on as well. Now the tummy, because it's got these big grooves in it, the turtle actually has a very similar technique where you make the top shell in a very similar way. So rather than repeating techniques, you can actually look at some of our free tutorials on the YouTube channel that have already covered the majority of it. And yeah, enjoy making yours, and I hope you have oodles of fun, and maybe you will make more than one. See you soon. Bye.